Hello everyone and welcome to a new episode of Film Thoughts. For those who are new to the channel, Film Thoughts is a series of videos that I create where I share my impressions on analog films. You'll find more of these videos in my channel, but for your convenience I will leave a link to a playlist that I created with those videos in the description of this video. In today's episode, I want to talk about HARMAN Phoenix 200, a relatively new ISO 200 color film that was released end of 2023. So you see, I'm a little bit late to the game, but when the film was released, I took notice of it. I watched a couple of reviews, but I was not really in a discovery phase for new films. So I pretty much settled on the black and white and color films that I wanted to shoot. But that changed in May of this year when my go-to local photo store, RC Mago, shout out to the team, made a photo walk. And every participant of this photo walk received a roll of HARMAN Phoenix 200. And so this is how I got to try out my first roll of Phoenix 200. And then I shot a second roll after that one as well to really get a better idea of what this film is about and what I learned from shooting the first roll of film. Before I get into the details and my impressions of the film, I want to share with you a couple of photos so that you get an idea what the look of this film is. So let's roll the photos. I hope you enjoyed the photos, and now let's have a look at what HARMAN says on their website about this film, and then I will go into detail with regards to these points. High contrast and strong visible grain are just some of the unique traits that help to produce characterful, unmistakably analog results, unlike any other film. I can confirm this, and I will show you a photo later where you can see this very clearly. It performs best in good, consistent light, and on brighter days or when shooting into the light, there's also a possibility of halation. Also here I will show you an example later. Getting the exposure right will certainly help to get the best results, so we suggest metering for the midtones and retain shadow or highlight detail. Over or underexposure is not Phoenix's friend. Also here you will see later how photos look if they are not shot at best light. This last point is especially important if you plan on shooting HARMAN Phoenix 200, and I hope by the end of this video you understand why. Let's now analyze and have a look what the visual impact of these properties on photographs are, starting with the red tones. It is very noticeable how the film represents red colors. This has a huge impact on the overall look of the images. Red elements in the photos turn orange. Look at the Swiss flags in the background, for example, or the cone. This effect is dominating the overall look of photos taken on this film. Everything just looks a little bit warm. The next noticeable thing is grain. HARMAN says on their website that this film has highly visible and strong grain, and the next photo says it all. Other photos that you've already seen earlier and you'll see later are able to hide this effect better, but if you get into a situation like I did with this photo, this is the result you can expect. Let me now show you some underexposed photos where you can clearly see muddy shadows and color casts and why you should not underexpose this film. There's nothing I can do to these photos that would save them in a good way, at least for me. Now let's take a look at some other underexposed images that I was able to save somehow, mostly because the composition had a clear subject. When you know what you're dealing with when shooting the film in such situations, it can create some nice moods. So these photos I like. Last but not least, I want to show you an example of halation so that you can see what it means to shoot this film directly into the light. We can see the halation here that Harman describes on their website. In this specific case, I really like it, and I think that if this effect is what you're looking for, there are not many films that can create this look. These are the most critical things to pay attention to when shooting this film that I discovered so far. I hope you got a good overview of the effects that this film can have on your photos depending on the situation that you find yourself in. What I can say is this film definitely has character. A character I do not dislike. Generally speaking, I don't think that HARMAN Phoenix 200 is a general purpose color film. Now you might like the look, or based on what you've seen today, maybe you say, wow, this is exactly what I was looking for. Or maybe what I shared with you today are exactly the reasons why you should avoid this film. What I can safely say is that the mileage with this film varies a lot depending on the scenes that you try to photograph. In the end, you need to decide what you make out of this look, which is heavily impacted by the shifts in the reds, by the sensitivity to underexposure, and by the heavily visible grain. Whether or not this is good for your photography, you need to decide. But I would be curious in the comment section below if you like this film, if you shoot it regularly. Let me know what you think. All in all, I'm glad that Harman released this film, and I really hope that more manufacturers are following and releasing new film stocks for a good analog photography future. With this, I want to leave you with a couple of more shots taken on this film under good and consistent light on brighter days. Thank you so much for watching and hope to see you in the next one. Bye bye.